we give it a start. The session will be anyways also recorded. So in case there are people who will be joining later on, there's also a possibility to review this. After the presentation, there will be an email sent out to everybody with the recording. So feel free then also to use the video in case there are other educators or students you want to make aware about this competition. You can definitely feel free to share that recording as well. Alrighty, then we would kick it off. So thank you very much again, everybody, for joining in, and thanks very much for Michael and Sophie for joining us today to share the perspective from an educator's point of view, and also share the perspective from a student who has become the national champion for the WorldSkills competition prior. So thanks very much. Thanks also for all the students who registered and the educators sharing that opportunity with everybody. And yeah, then I would say I directly hand it off to Michael for to kick us off.
Thank you. And I'm just going to open up my PowerPoint. It's here. And I see a couple of questions coming in already, so I think we should be able to address them through this. I thought I would start off by just kind of introducing who I am, because some people obviously don't know me yet. I'm Michael Mcguire. I am the WorldSkills UK's digital construction expert. Where WorldSkills is concerned, I'm representing the UK in the international competitions. I'm also the UK squad for digital construction. I'm their training manager, and I'm going to kind of introduce that in a little bit through the presentation. I quite often forget, but my main job actually is a lecturer. I'm a digital construction lecturer with New College, Lanarkshire, which is in Scotland near Glasgow. And I sit on an advisory board as well, the Scottish Qualifications Authority, and I'm the chairperson for the qualification support team. And that's for digital construction, BIM, and computer-aided design. So any of the colleges or centres that deliver qualifications in digital construction or CAD through the Scottish Qualifications Authority, I'm one of the people that kind of help guide and lead other centres on that. At any point, if anybody would like to contact me to discuss WorldSkills further, that's a good email address, and you'll see this popping up a couple of times. So there's a WorldSkills UK BIM, so it's WSUK BIM at nclan, which is newcollegelanarkshire.academic.ac.uk. And that's if you're looking to speak to me about anything else, I'm more than happy to do that. So I thought I would start off by introducing WorldSkills itself, and actually what is it, how big is it, who all kind of participate. So it's good to realise that WorldSkills family itself, there are 85 countries that compete against each other and participate together as well, where they actively encourage education and curriculum to embed excellence within that. And the whole thing is about striving and making better any courses that they can guide in that. So what that has taken place, we've got 85 different countries, inspiring over 100 million students worldwide. And the competitions allow the students then to showcase their skills. And where we talk about WorldSkills International, at the international level, there are over 70 different skills. I would actually encourage you to go and look at the broad range that are there. Yep, today I'm going to focus on digital construction. There are others, mechanical engineering, CAD. There is bricklaying, there's hairdressing, there is beauty, performing arts, mechanical, CNC. Think about any of the trades or some of the skills that are highly in demand by industry these days. And the chances are there's probably a country competing in that as one of their skills. And WorldSkills International organises an international championship, a world's final, if you like, that is held once every 2 years. And the next one should have been this year, but it's been postponed, obviously because of COVID. It's been postponed to next year, so 2022, and that happens in Shanghai. So every single country, as you'll see, have their own competitions with the best of the best then going to represent their country and compete against every other country in all of those skills, including digital construction. So we have what we describe as WorldSkills national chapters. So WorldSkills countries, so we look at WorldSkills UK, for example, work closely with the government and employers and any educational institutions that would like to get involved, and what our role there is to mainstream excellence. Let's look at good practice. Let's have a look at what skills the industry are needing, and we do that through WorldSkills UK, speaking to employers and government and advising employers and government and educational institutions. Their tagline, #GoFurtherFaster, really looks at how do we give students the best possible start? How do we get within year 1 or year 2 of digital construction courses or many others? What skills should we actually be teaching our students to give them the fastest and best possible start? And these WorldSkills chapters organise yearly regional competitions and national competitions within their respective countries. So we can look this year at the digital construction WorldSkills UK. We will have a pre-qualifier competition, and I'll introduce that to you today and speak to you about that. And after the pre-qualifier competition, we can look at qualifiers, those regional qualifier competitions, which then feed up to the national finals. So we can look at what's in the pre-qualifiers. Obviously, the national qualifier, being a longer competition, will then have more detail in it. And then the national final, again, you'll see is again a longer competition, going into much more level of detail, etc. And all of that usually happens at WorldSkills UK Live, which is in the NEC in Birmingham, and attracts 70,000 visitors, while our competitors are competing in the national final. The best 8, 9 or 10 people in the UK will be sitting competing against each other. And what we have are 70,000 people from all the local schools, etc. that come. It's the UK's largest national careers fair. So we've got to look at the competition as digital construction and BIM. And we're looking at, obviously, the digital construction process. And it's defined here as being the tools, how they're applied to create, coordinate, and manage architecture, engineering, and construction, digital assets. And for us, the benefits that we have in our competition is that happens across the entire life cycle of the project. So we'll see that in the passive competition, the pre-qualifier, that might be modeling and collaboration, coordination, for example. And when we move up to the qualifier, the national final, and then the international final, we would look to the competition to engage with the design, the planning, the build, and the operate elements of all the software that we get to use there. So the WorldSkills international competition have preset competition competencies. And here we've just kind of taken some of these, and I'll break them into a little bit more detail, but we can see that the competitions within the UK, that anybody that's interested in a digital construction competition in the UK, we'd be including elements of project information management and modelling, coordination of modelling, and scheduling, takeoff quantities, etc. I've left the other 2 bullet points in blue because actually they don't come into the competition until we get to international level, where it's a longer competition and it actually just takes, it goes into much more level of detail. So things that students would be expected to know, understand, or be willing to learn about under the project information management moduling elements. We've got ISO 19650, that should say, ISO 19650, the most up-to-date standards, how to name files, how to name project information models, what format that might be in, looking at documents and spreadsheets, etc., how to actually name and how to collaborate and share them using BIM 360. This year we will be focusing still on using BIM 360, As we develop next year into the competition, we will move more fully into the Autodesk Construction Cloud. It was just felt that students have been using BIM 360 this year, and it's probably unfair to hit everybody with a brand new environment. And using within BIM 360, adding status codes and Uniclass 2015 information, etc. within that. Within the modelling elements, again, students would be using Revit 2021, that's for architectural and structural modelling, and using the BIM interoperability tools to add Uniclass information and to take out scheduling in terms of COBie format of data, etc. And then we've got other tasks where we use Navisworks Manage 2021 as well as BIM 360 to quality assure the model, and that might be through visually inspecting the model or using hard clash, clearance clash, etc. Producing reports from that. At all points, competitors would be working to supply BIM execution plans and other documentation. And again, site execution and construction data, analytics, automation, 4D, BIM, etc. are really reserved for the international competition where we get 3 days. So the software that we'd be looking at, I've kind of touched on, but we would be looking at all Autodesk software for the modeling side of it and the coordination side of it. So Autodesk Revit 2021 this year, Navisworks Managed same, and Autodesk Construction Cloud this year. And within Revit, we're definitely utilising the BIM interoperability tools and looking at how to put data and information into a model and then take that out and extract it and share it. And then some of the plugins that we would be using would be Enscape for any visualization tasks. So again, looking at where the competition goes to 2 days long or 2-3 days long, we would be looking at some visualization tasks within there. So I did already have a question at the start of the presentation, so I want to just kind of focus on that. It is really confusing for a lot of people who are new to WorldSkills. The way to think about it this year is do not worry about any age limits. There are no age limits in WorldSkills UK registration. There are only age limits where it's an international competition year. So if a student was to compete in the WorldSkills UK and they're over 24 this year, that is really not an issue. It doesn't stop anybody progressing to the national final, competing, or even winning the national final. In the UK, the requirement is that you need to have sat a level 6 qualification in England and Wales, Northern Ireland, and looking at level 9 in Scotland. Level 9 in Scotland is actually the same as a level 6 in England. So you've got to have sat a level 6 qualification within the past 12 years. 12 months. So if you're sitting a level 6 qualification just now, that's fine. If you're already graduated, but it was within the last 12 months, then equally you're still eligible to compete. There are no limit to the number of competitors permitted to enter this competition per organisation. So if you have 20 students or 20 plus students that you would like to put in, you're more than welcome to do that. And students must be UK residents at the time of competition in order to participate. Okay, so those are, and hopefully that answers the question in terms of the age limit. We don't need to worry about that. If we kind of go back there, it was a year where we were selecting a squad to go to international level, which it isn't this year. Then it would only stop the student from progressing to the international competition. It wouldn't stop the student competing at the UK qualifications or competitions. So we look at the dates where we are just now. April 19th, the registration has already opened. April 26th, this kickoff webinar. And we have up until just a couple of days before the 19th of May. May 19th is the actual competition. That's the first competition students would compete in this year, which is a passive competition. I'll explain a little bit more about that. Then the June 9th, which is the regional qualifier competition. And then in November, date still to be absolutely confirmed, should be between the 17th to 20th of November will be the national final. And then if it was a squad selection year, then we would look at in 2 years' time, between now, November, and in 2 years' time, we would be training to compete in Shanghai. It is not a squad selection year this year, and the next one being in 24 in Lyon, 2024. One of the things I want to point out down the bottom, and you're going to see some information relating to this, is that anybody who registers for the competition will get access to on-demand learning and tutorial materials. I would suggest the quicker that people register, it gives them longer to look over and use the online learning materials, which go into quite a lot of detail into the competition, what's expected, what the various tasks are, etc. So the competitions this year, we have a passive stage competition, and it is delivered via the competition organising partner virtual learning environment, which is called Moodle. If any students have ever used Moodle before, that's great. If not, there will be an introductory session and video sent out showing you exactly how to log in and exactly how to use it as well. The competition is automated and it lasts 1 hour. We'll look at 30 or 35 questions within the hour. And as soon as you're registered, you'll be sent some login information. It lets you then see any video tutorials that we have on the playlist that we have set up for that. And you'll also get access to a practice test with automated feedback. So I'll introduce that to you just now. This is what Moodle will look like. And if you register, you would get further, more detailed videos with audio against this. There's a little area here, the technical handbook, that you can download that gives you more information about WorldSkills and the competition itself. And then a section with the training materials. And clicking on that hyperlink takes you to our YouTube channel. And within that, there are 30 plus videos, 38 videos or so. And clicking on one will take you through and show you, here's the instructions document, for example, and it takes you through all the tasks, explaining what the judges are looking for. And it comes with a practice data set and all of the documentation. So the BEP, AIDP, EIR, etc., anything that you're required or would like to use if you practice is all here. Also, there's a bunch of tips here. So the first one is just an introduction video, what is the competition? And then some tips. The tips focus on the areas that most students have dropped points before. So how to read the Bim Execution Plan, how to publish latest, etc. And then a practice area. So this is a little practice competition area that you'll see underneath that, the practice heat 1, and then, passive heat 1 and passive heat 2. These will be live on the day. You'll be invited to actually join the actual quiz, the actual competition. And then here, any webinars and introductory sessions or discussions will be posted here as well with dates and times. So all of the quizzes, all of the competitions come with a data set. And it does, through instruction, tell you before you begin, go to the data set, download it, and then unzip that. So if we just look to unzip, extract all, and what I do is extract all the files in case I am asked to link anything in. So I've got 2 ISO 19650 documents and a Revit model in this case. And when we then, that was a data set, if we then click on the competition, all the information is there that you would need. So for this little practice one, just to get you used to how to use the quiz feature within Moodle, there are 6 questions, it's 6 minutes. It tells you how to attempt the questions, everything in bold to say, download the data set, please, before you begin. When you click start attempt, it will begin the clock. So if you've got 6 minutes or 30 minutes, 35 minutes, when you click attempt, you'll get another option box popping up. And then when you click start attempt here, the clock begins. And there's no way to then stop the clock and leave the quiz and go back into the quiz. So once we're started, we've got the question that's up here. So we'll see a question, then some answers. Quiz navigation, if we want to click next page when we're finished, or click question 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Read the question, take your time, have a look at all the options. Some of the questions are multiple choice. So in this case, if I were to put the answer to this would be D, S4, and click next page. We can see now I'm on question number 2. I could click number 1 and it will take me back, or previous page, choose the option that I believe is correct, and next page. And then this one, again, we can see, just be aware of how the organization, the layout of it is. A is system, B would be spaces and locations is the answer. Again, multiple choice. So make sure that you're comfortable with the answer, option A, and next. Sometimes you're directed to your data set. So I should open up on the data set, the sample house model, and then ask whatever the question is here, I'll answer it. And I've kind of given you a bit of a hint with the format of that answer. And again, so some are asking you just to type them in, some are looking for multiple choice. So here it's asking me in 19650 part 2, go and open it. Even if you think you know the answer, open it, it's in the data set. And when you're done, finish attempt. When you click finish attempt, you get another option to go back. I am going to go and review question number 1. Here you can change it if you want to, or skip back to question number 6, finish attempt. And within here, if I click submit and finish, you get one more warning. Are you sure that's what you want to do? So when you click submit all and finish, you have finalized everything. You will get all of your answers. Now, I haven't done very well. I get 0 out of 10 marks or so, however that was weighted. Here's everything is in red, everything that I got wrong. But what I do get is instant feedback. And if you click on that, it will take you to a video on our YouTube playlist showing you how to work out the answers to that. What should the correct answer be? So the correct answer was ceilings or spaces and locations or etc. That's covered in a video on our YouTube playlist. Okay. So that's a passive competition, lasts approximately an hour. Progressing on from that, we're going to go to the regional competition, June 9th. It goes into much more level of detail, but it will be delivered virtually via Zoom using BIM 360 to host, and using, again, Revit 2021 and Navisworks, etc. Again, if I point you towards the Moodle environment, there will be a space opens up for that and takes us through our tutorials. So again, there's lots of practice tests and lots of tutorials, lots of videos, lots of data sets, etc. And then that's progressing to the national competition. So here we're looking at the best 8 to 10 people who are the top scorers from the regional competition, that 6-hour, one-day event. Who are the top scorers, who achieved the highest scores. And then we can look at between the regional competition and this, again, you will have access to a further series of video tutorials. You've also got access to me, the WorldSkills UK Squad Training Manager. So where you feel, or we feel, that you as a student who've progressed to this point could do with more training or more development in certain topics, then that's something we'll cover. And as I said, it usually happens here. We don't know yet. Obviously, we can't confirm it because of COVID. We don't know what's happening this year, but that normally happens over 2 days or 3 days at the UK's largest skills and careers event, which is the Birmingham NEC. And that's 70,000 plus attendees. Mostly, you'll see in the picture on the right-hand side, mostly school kids coming to ask what exactly is digital construction and how do I get to start in that discipline. And then on a normal year where it's a squad selection year, the competition then develops any of the competitors who are the top 3 that are actually going to be young enough to compete. And that's where the difference would occur. In the UK, we don't need to worry about age limits. Here, we would look at, from those 8, 9, 10 people, who were the best 3 young people, and would they be 24 or younger in the year of the competition? If so, they get trained to compete in digital construction or whatever the competition might be for the next 2 years. And that would be, as we said, 2022 in Shanghai. And here we can see photos from Kazan and Team Ireland that are there with, again, it's a large skills event, and we've got 300,000 visitors attending that. And there you can see, we've all seen the Olympics, and we've all seen sprinters and high jumpers and so on competing for their country. Did you know that you could compete for your country in digital construction or tiling or bricklaying or mechanical engineering CAD, for example? There we can see on the left, WorldSkills UK were honoured in the Queen's birthday honours, those receiving medals, those that were training managers and such like. And on the right-hand side, Team Ireland getting their recognition as well. This is Team UK or Squad UK as it is currently. So after the 2019 competition, when we look at who are the best 3 young people in each competition, they now all get together and they train. And so 3 of them are my squad. They're in the top right. So that's Mona, Darren and Connor. And you'll see in the bottom right as well, where they all got together to do some training with some of the ICT, securities and networking, etc. So here's just a quick blast of some of those videos. We've got 30 plus videos explaining every single step in the competition. You'll get example BIM Execution Plan, AIDP, EIR, etc. and lots of practice model data sets. So you will see a video saying step by step, do this, and here's why you're doing that and how it's scored by the judges. And all of the competition has been designed to cover industry workflows and mirrors very, very closely what you guys would be expected to do in industry working in digital construction. They can also be embedded and included as part of the curriculum by any of the institutions. So there's Trevor, part of the Morgan Sindel Group, Baker Hicks. He is the director for BIM and digital construction. And there's a nice little comment there in that WorldSkills can be seen as a stepping stone to the next step in your careers for competitors. We have employed 4 of last year's competitors after they demonstrated extraordinary level of skill. Yes, they did. So they took 4 students from the national final and they employed all 4 of them because they see it as a fabulous talent pool, if you like. So we're also looking at our Autodesk certification and Autodesk Revit certified user. And here's where they kind of fit in. I'm going to show you in a little bit the Revit fundamental tutorials. It's not something that you must have to compete in the WorldSkills competitions in the UK. It's definitely going to be an advantage to you. And if you're able to compete in the WorldSkills UK digital construction competition, once you're looking at the videos that are there on YouTube that we're giving you, it actually is about the same level and you won't find it any difficulty actually sitting the certified user certification. So you'd be looking at, have you been using Revit for 150 hours, etc.? If so, then the costs are looking at approximately $100 per Autodesk certified user exam per student. And again, we can, one of the things that our college do, I'll show you a little testimonial in that, we bulk buy, we buy quite a lot of them so that we can put all of our students through it together at the end of the year. So these can be taken at Certiport testing centres, and most of the universities and colleges that are in the UK are already Certiport testing centres. And again, just by signing up to that, if you're a student or an educator, if you're looking to sign up to that, the tutorials that are available from ourselves are also then backed up by Gmetrics practice tests as well. So do you feel confident in going and sitting the actual certified user, sit the geometrics practice tests? There are a couple of them, and they mirror again the exam itself very closely. So any information on that, if you're looking for further information, if you're in institution, you can get info@prodigylearning.com. And I'm sure the guys will definitely speak to you about that. So on the right-hand side, we've got Jeff from Sheffield Hallam University getting a Centre of Excellence Award. And again, that's about integrating digital construction into the course. Jeff has that. We have something very similar on the left from New College, Mcguire. What we've found is if we integrate digital construction using Revit into the courses and then allow the students to sit the Revit certified user exam, the students then receive a badge that they can put on their CV, on their LinkedIn, on their emails, etc. And we find that's one of the #1 ways that companies buy into that to ask students in for interviews, because a lot of companies themselves, industry professionals, they already have those certified user exams and they know themselves how hard they were and what their benchmark scores were. So it allows them to benchmark. If you've got an 80% score or an 85% score, they know that they can trust your level of experience in Revit. And if there are any countries out with the UK that are non-English speaking countries natively, then there are other languages, and I think they're always being added all the time in terms of other languages that are available. I did also mention that you have access, and this is something you've all got already. If you go Googling for the Autodesk Design Academy, you will see lots of Autodesk fundamental learning materials. And that's looking at the fundamentals of Revit, BIM, and BIM for construction management and planning as well. So again, these I would say are maybe a slightly lower level than what the WorldSkills UK competition is. But again, there's a lot of learning in there. So I'm sure you've all been watching thinking, this is something that I would really like to participate in. Certainly I would advocate it. I think it's one of the best things that I've ever been involved in, and you'll hear from Sophie from a student's point of view in a bit. So if we look at how to register, this link, I will put this link into the chat for you. And if you click the link, we will do a little step-by-step in this later on, but if you click on the link, then you'll be able to go through to create an account, either as an educator or as a student to compete. And I'll put that into the chat for you in a little second. So if I could, I would like to hand you over to Sophie. Oh, Philip has put that into the chat. Thank you very much. I'd like to hand you over to Sophie, who's going to give you an overview of what it was like to compete as a competitor.
Thank you, Michael. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Hopefully you can see my lovely PowerPoint and me down the corner as well.
Did we lose Sophie? Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So I'm going to talk a bit about my journey, some of the opportunities that arose for me after competing in WorldSkills, and then I'm going to finish on some of my top tips and some of the benefits from competing as well. So why WorldSkills UK? It is the UK's largest skills and career event with over 70 skills which are showcased. As Michael said, everything from hairdressing to digital construction, every kind of construction would work. Everything that you can think of is probably being showcased here. You can test your knowledge on your chosen skill. You can compare it to what is actually being done in industry. So you can compare it to industry workflows to see if you're on track for employment as well. Professional development. So even if you don't come away a winner, you still can understand your strengths and weaknesses from competing. You can come away with a better understanding of things that you might need to work on to get a job at the end of the day. You can learn industry standards. As I mentioned, the competitions are created with industry professionals, so everything that you're doing in the competition is stuff that is happening in the industry right now. And also some networking as well. You're meeting everyone from your industry as well. So next slide. So my journey to WorldSkills UK, I left school in 2013 and studied architecture at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow. Studied there for 2 years and then decided that that wasn't for me. I took a year out, and then in 2016 I enrolled to study computer-aided architectural design and technology at New College, Lanarkshire, and this is where I learned about WorldSkills as well. So in 2017, during my HND year, we were given the opportunity to participate in an additional module on BIM. It wasn't compulsory, it was an add-on to our education. I knew that BIM was something that I was quite interested in. I didn't know much about it, but I knew that it was something that was very important in the industry right now. And for being able to get a job at the end of college, I thought that this was something that would be very useful to learn. So after that module, I decided that it was something that I really wanted to pursue as a career as well. And then in 2018, I decided to go to university. So with our college course, we can jump into third year at Edinburgh Napier University. So went to university, and then in my final year of university, this is when I heard about the WorldSkills competition for BIM. So this was going to be a new competition. It hadn't been done before. It was Michael at New College Lanarkshire, we just heard from, was helping to write the competition, and was wondering if any past students wanted to sign up to compete. So I decided to register to compete for the regional competition, which was in 2019. And so this was all in amongst being in my final year at university as well. So not the best timing for me probably, but it paid off in the end. And then in 2020, I graduated from Edinburgh Napier University, obviously not in person, but virtually since COVID struck, and secured myself a permanent job as a BIM coordinator in the industry right now. So I'm going to briefly talk about my point of view for the regional and the national competitions, just so you can get a little bit of a better understanding of what is needed from you and what you should be looking at if you want to compete as well. So the regional competition took place in Salford University, New College Lanarkshire, and the Autodesk University in London. This was just a 1 day long competition, which is 6 hours long. It's basically a mini version of the national final. It has more of a condensed version as well. So at the start of the day, you get given a Bim Execution Plan, and this is your Bible, basically. Refer to it at every opportunity. It outlines every standard and process and everything that you should be following throughout the entire day. And then we were mostly modelling in Revit for the first half of the day. And then in the second half of the day, we were performing clash detection exercises, federating models together, using Navisworks to perform hard clashes, and then using BIM 360 to perform soft clashes. So a bit of a walkthrough using the BIM 360 software to see clashes that maybe wouldn't come up as a physical clash in Navisworks, sorry. And also the BIM Execution Plan outlines the data drops, which are all throughout the day, specific times, very important because if you miss a certain time, then that can affect the amount of points that you can get for that task. So speed is something that is really important. I think the quicker you are at, the stuff that you know is going to be in the competition, like the modelling and Revit, the quicker you are at that, then the more likely that you're going to hit all your data points on time and get full marks for that. Then the national competition, which is in the NEC in Birmingham, as Michael had mentioned. This was a 2-day long competition, around 15 hours, and this was top 8 students from the regional competitions in the UK. So once again, Bim Execution Plan got given this first, very, very important. It outlines all the tasks and the deliverables, all the naming standards. You might think that you know the naming standards already, but always look to the Bim Execution Plan because there might be a change in there and you always need to follow that, basically. Once again, data drops, very important. Make sure that you take a note of them, rip it out, frame it, put it somewhere, make sure you can see it, make sure you don't miss those data drops throughout the day as well. And also a full understanding of the ISO standards as well. Okay, on day one, we most of this day was modelling in Revit from 2D Cad plans. Because the building was quite a large building, it did take up quite a lot of the day. This is where, if you practice your Revit modelling skills, this is where you can really speed up on your first day and make sure that you leave time for things that maybe you're not as, things that are a bit more difficult. You can focus on them instead of having to spend so long on modelling walls and roofs and everything in Revit. Also, setting up of the project, this is quite important. So setting up the project base point and the project coordinates, and also just setting up wall, floor and roof types. Once again, making sure that you refer to the Bim Execution Plan for how to name every single thing that goes into the model. And once again, data drops. Can you tell that that's important? I keep mentioning it. Okay, on day 2, we then federated the model that we had previously created on day 1, along with other structural, MEP, specialist models, and then there was certain clashes that we had to carry out on these models. Once we had identified the clashes, then we had to do some corrective modelling. So, that's a bit of a judgment call on what should be changed in relation to the structure or architecture or anything. And also the BIM 360 walkthrough. So we would walk through the building and look for clashes that wouldn't come up on Navisworks, like columns in front of doors or anything that isn't a physical clash, but in real life it is a soft clash. Also, we used Uniclass 2015 classification manager and inputted the data for our Kobe spreadsheets, which we also exported at the end of this day. And I'm not too sure if this year we're doing some visualizations, but we did also use Enscape for some visualizations and animations at the end of this day as well. It's really fun. So after WorldSkills UK, I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that arose for me and some of the awards that I won. So this is the Bim Show Live Award, which I got nominated for after winning gold in 2019 WorldSkills UK competition. So the Bim Show Live, if you don't know, is an annual 2-day BIM conference that takes place in Newcastle. And they have an award ceremony on the second night. The Bim Award recognises the use of BIM in companies, projects. They have all different awards from BIM Project of the Year, BIM Product of the Year, Training Programme of the Year. And I was nominated for the Student Award, which was Keep Your Eyes on This One, but I think they've now changed that to Rising Star because I think that sounds a little bit dodgy. So yeah, after WorldSkills UK, I managed to win this award, which was such a good opportunity, and also a great opportunity to network with people in the BIM industry as well. Also, I got the opportunity with other few people that competed in 2019 to write an article for CIAT, so Chartered Institute of Architecture Technologists, basically just talking about the competition in their spring 2020 edition. Yeah, that was a really good exposure as well for the industry, as obviously a lot of architectural technologists read this, so that's also good networking. And when you're thinking about applying for a job as well, these things really look good on your CV as well. So that's nicely tied into what I'm just about to talk about. So for job opportunities, it's great if you're right that you've even competed in WorldSkills UK. It's always a great topic to talk about at interviews. Sometimes people don't know about it and they're really interested and want to know more. I think even just being able to say that you've put yourself out there to compete against other people, to try and be the best in your chosen skill in your industry, employers love that. They love that kind of determination that shows. And also, you know, for me personally, that I got asked to come back and be a judge this year. So that's also a really nice full circle moment. So some tips from me for competing. Data drops, are you surprised? Number one most important thing, make sure that you hit all your timings for your data drops. The standards, make sure that you know them inside out, how you're supposed to name things. For instance, things that you know that are going to be in the model, walls, windows, floors, know the classifications off by heart so that you don't need to spend time looking them up, because everything's about you being as quick as possible to make sure that you hit these timings. Know the software programs really well, so the main ones I've listed here: Revit, Navisworks, Bim 360. If you are doing visualizations as well, then Enscape as well. Know them really well so that you're quick and you can just get all of the modelling out of the way as soon as possible. And also, as Michael had mentioned, the practice tests and tutorials, they are really good and useful, and definitely if you can, you know, spend time on them, then you will build up your speed, and you'll also get a good idea of what's actually going to be needed from you in the actual competitions. So just finishing on the benefits, so you get to test your knowledge on your chosen skill, you get to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are within your industry. You can come away knowing what you need to work on or what you do really well on. Even if you don't win, I think that you don't need to win to see the benefits of this. You can understand a bit more about the industry. Sometimes it can bridge the gap between college or university education and actually getting a job in industry, because these competitions are they are written by people in industry. Then this is exactly what they're doing in the industry, you know. Also networking, so you're creating a kind of community with the people in the BIM field. This is, you know, students and employers. A lot of employers look to WorldSkills if they are needing, you know, new employees, especially in BIM. I think there's a bit of a gap right now. They're finding it quite hard to find people that have that kind of specialty in BIM. So I think definitely this competition, employers will be looking at it if they are needing new employees. And that's it from me. Any questions, then feel free to put it in the chat, or if you have any questions after this, then you can message me on LinkedIn. Just search for me, my name's Sophie Orr, and I will get back to you. So yeah, I'm going to hand back over to Michael now, who's going to talk about how you can register for the competitions.
So looking at the competition itself, we have registration is already opened. I haven't read here because I want to point out and make it stand out to you all. Competition registration closes on May the 14th. And then the competition itself for the passive stage is actually on May the 19th. It doesn't give you a lot of time, one, to get registered and get access to the virtual learning environment, etc., or use the tutorials and practice tests and get used to how everything works. So please do it way earlier than that, but you have up until the 14th. Again, this is the link that you'll see, and we'll put that into the chat when we hit to register, and you can click to create an account. You want to register either as an educator, so teacher, lecturer, employer, or competitor. So obviously if we click competitor and create account, you're looking at what the competition entry criteria is. So we're looking at digital construction being the competition this year. And then just go through the Q&A. Have you competed before? Have you previously participated in WorldSkills at all? Organisation details and so on. Now, what I would say is we have already had some people asking if you're looking at choosing your institution, if you can't find it, you can add it to the list. If it's greyed out, then there's a reason for that. Here is you probably haven't, on the right-hand side, it says, my manager or tutor suggested it, etc. You probably haven't chosen that or ticked the terms and conditions. Okay, so if you get to that and it's greyed out, have a look at what you've missed. So what we've tried to do here is highlight all of the areas that you can kind of focus on through the competition, your details, additional information, etc. So here we've got Belfast Metropolitan College. If that's not what it is and it's not in the list, add your institution, college, university, whatever that might be. And then your point of contact. One of the things that I would say is, as a lecturer, make sure your students know who their point of contact is, because you will receive an email when they've registered. And that's the way that I keep a track of which of my students have been registering themselves. I'll get an email with their name on it, and I'll just keep a little spreadsheet with that information. So if you are an educator and you want to go through that and register your students, you need this. It's quite a lot of information and it can be really laborious. I tend to just go and speak to students and make sure they register, even if it means you have a Zoom with them or a class with them, and ask them all to register at that point. So things like the competitors' details, their name, their mobile phone number, their email address, including their personal email address, if they may be finishing through college or university and we want them to compete in November, they may not still be at your institution or receive their emails. So home address, including postcode, date of birth, and are they an apprentice or not currently? Who are their training provider, college, employer, organisation, institution name, and then the address, including postcode. And this is the important parts for me, point of contact's name. So preferably a relevant tutor. You're all here tonight. A lot of you are tutors, lecturers, or employers if it's through apprenticeship. Make sure they know who you are and your contact details. So that can be a contact phone number at your desk. Email address, I make sure that it's my college email address. And then optional is unique learner number, their student number, for example. Optional, not necessarily required. So going through that as an educator, there we see there where you can create an account, all the information it tells you beforehand, this is what you're going to need. It was on the other slide. And then we can look at what the competitions are. Okay, so we can add the digital construction competition to that, and then add your competitor for digital construction to that. I have highlighted here, if students are invited by educators, and this is highlighted in yellow, students will get an email. And if they don't tick and accept terms and conditions, they are still not registered and cannot compete. So it's crucial that you, as an educator, look to students and ask that they have done that. You'll get that through your email as a point of contact. Me, as a competition organising partner, that's one of the things that I will do. I get to see every student's name and all their details and whether they've done that or not. And if they haven't, then I'll be chasing them on your behalf. So if students do not conform, they cannot participate. And one of the other things that we wanted to speak about, because not everybody here tonight is an educator or a student, we also have industry professionals. And what we'd look to do is to invite people who have been in industry with 5 years of experience using Autodesk Software, Revit, Navisworks, etc. doing the types of stuff that we've spoken about tonight in terms of BIM manager, BIM coordinator, would you be interested in spending time, it's not a huge commitment, in providing and joining an industry advisory board, where a couple of times a year we can meet to review learning materials, help design the competition, etc., and eventually moving towards maybe even moving into being officially judging the competition and getting your company involved. You heard from Morgan Sindel, Baker Hicks earlier, that they employed 4 students from the 1 year, the national final. And they did that because they saw the talent that was in that competition and they could take them straight in to their company and hit the ground running. So if that's something you're interested in, please send me an email. Let me know why, what it is you'd like to discuss. And that's wsukbim@nclan.ac.uk. That comes straight to me. So yeah, if you have any other questions or comments on that, feel free to email me. Anything at all that you want more clarification on, I'm sure you've all got Phil's details, and that's mine's. And there's also Billy and the folks at Prodigy, info@prodigylearning.com, if you want any more information on the Autodesk Certified User or Professional exams that are there. And you already have that link, the WorldSkills UK Digital Construction Competition, where it gives you more information if you look and click on the links that are there about the competition and just what is being assessed at the time. Okay, so I would say thank you very much for listening to me